It was the kind of quiet that made you notice things you normally wouldn't. The sound of your own heartbeat, the subtle creak of the front door as it closed behind you, and the faint hum of a house settling into its silence. I had just come back from college. My suitcase rolled over the welcome mat like a whisper from the past. I'd stepped into this house hundreds of times before, but today it felt different, like something had shifted in the walls, in the air, or maybe just in me. The scent of home, wood polish, lemon-scented cleaner, and something slightly burnt lingered in the space. And then came the voice I hadn't heard in months. Hey! I turned, startled slightly by how much deeper his voice had gotten. Ryan, my 19-year-old stepbrother, stood there with a soccer ball tucked casually under his arm. He looked taller, broader in the shoulders, with the kind of confidence that hadn't been there before. Hey, I replied, unsure whether to hug him or just wave. Our parents had left that morning for a short getaway, a romantic weekend retreat that they hoped would rekindle whatever spark their marriage still had. It left the house to just Ryan and me, two step-siblings who were never particularly close. I was 3 years older, always busy with my own life, while he had been the goofy kid who trailed behind, never quite catching up. But that afternoon, something subtle shifted. While I unpacked upstairs, there was a soft knock at the door. Ryan peeked in. "Want to order pizza later?" he asked, leaning against the doorframe like he did it all the time. I nodded. "Sure, sounds good." Later, we sat on the couch, slices in hand, flipping through channels, trying to agree on what to watch. Surprisingly, the conversation came easily. We laughed about childhood chaos, like the time we turned the living room into a fort and accidentally shattered Mom's antique lamp. "You were such a control freak," he said between bites. "And you were a little menace," I shot back, smirking. The banter wasn't awkward. It was warm, familiar, like the distance between us had faded in a matter of hours. After dinner, I walked into the kitchen and found Ryan doing dishes. I grabbed a towel to help, despite his playful protest that I was a guest now. The warmth from the earlier laughter lingered as we washed and dried, shoulder to shoulder. He talked about college, about wanting to study engineering. "I want to build stuff that matters, he said, eyes focused on the dish in his hands. I was stunned. "I didn't know you were so passionate about it." He shrugged. "You were always busy. You probably never noticed." It wasn't bitter, but it landed deep, like a quiet realization that I'd never really seen him before. Not like this. The next morning, I found him outside, hood popped, working on his car. His sleeves were rolled up, and grease smudged his forearms. I watched from the window, mesmerized by his focus. "You just gonna stare, or you coming out?" he called out with a grin. I laughed and joined him. For the next hour, he showed me the engine, explaining parts I couldn't remember 5 minutes later. But I didn't care. I just liked hearing his voice. That evening, a summer storm rolled in. Thunder echoed above us, and the lights blinked out. We lit candles, casting flickering shadows along the kitchen walls, and played cards at the table like kids on a camping trip. "I'm glad you're here," he said suddenly, his voice quieter than before. "Me too." The silence after that was different. Not empty, not awkward. It felt like the start of something we couldn't name. I asked if he could cook, jokingly. He smirked and said someone had to learn since I apparently couldn't boil water. We ate leftovers by candlelight, but it felt like a dinner date. He asked about my plans now that I was done with college. "I don't know," I confessed. "I spent so long chasing this goal that now I'm not sure what comes after." "You'll figure it out," he said without hesitation. "You always do." That confidence in his voice made me pause. It meant something, hearing that from him. Later, while folding laundry together, we ended up talking about relationships. He asked about my ex. I told him it didn't work out. He didn't push for details, just looked at me and said, "His loss." I felt my throat tighten. No one had said that to me before. That night, we watched an old action movie. Something about it felt nostalgic. I caught him stealing glances at me during the quieter scenes, like he had something on his mind. When the credits rolled, he finally spoke. "I thought, when you left for college, I thought you'd forget about me." I turned to him, surprised. "Forget about you? You had your own life, friends, classes. I figured we'd just drift." I swallowed the guilt that rose up. "I didn't forget. I just didn't know how to stay close." He nodded slowly. "Well, you're here now." And that, somehow, was enough to make my heart ache. Later that night, I found a note on my pillow. "Glad you're home. Ryan." I folded it like it was something sacred. The next day was different. Ryan was quiet again, reserved. Over breakfast, he barely spoke. I figured maybe he just needed space. But by afternoon, the weight in his expression hadn't lifted. I found him sitting on the back porch, phone in hand, staring blankly. "You okay?" I asked. He hesitated, then finally admitted that he'd missed a project deadline, something that put his scholarship in danger. "I messed it up, and now I can't fix it." "You're overwhelmed," I said gently. He looked away. "I've already tried. It's done." I didn't try to fix everything in that moment. I just opened my laptop and started researching, typing, anything that might help. He walked past and paused. "What are you doing?" "Helping. If you're going to give up, at least let me try first." He sat down beside me, and for the next few hours, we rewrote his paper together. He surprised me. He was smart, articulate, passionate. He just needed a push. When we finally finished, he looked at me and said, "Couldn't have done it without you." "You did most of it." "Yeah, but you didn't let me quit." That night, I saw him differently. He wasn't just my stepbrother. He was impressive, capable, and he made me want to be better too. The next morning, he was pacing the kitchen. "Nervous?" I asked. "Yeah, but I'll figure it out." I smiled. "I know you will." When the email came in saying his project had been accepted, I could see his whole body relax. "I owe you." "No, you don't," I said. "You just needed someone to remind you what you're capable of." That night, I thought we were back to normal. But Ryan was distant again the next morning. Quiet, distracted. I overheard him on the phone later, voice low. "I don't know. It's complicated." That evening, the silence between us was different, tense. "Did I do something?" I asked. He blinked, surprised. "Number you didn't. I just, I didn't expect this. United States, hanging out, actually getting along." "I didn't either," I said, "but I'm glad we did." He looked at me for a long time. "You're leaving soon, right?" "Yeah, in a few days." He nodded, like he was still processing it. "I know we didn't always get along," I said, "but I'm proud of you, Ryan." His face softened. "I'm proud of you too. You pretend like you don't have it together, but you do." The morning I left, Ryan walked me to my car. He shifted his weight like he wanted to say something more, but couldn't find the words. "You're going to be okay," I said. "I know you are." "You too," he said. And then, without warning, he hugged me. Quick, hesitant, real. "Don't wait so long to come back next time," he whispered. I smiled. "I won't." As I pulled out of the driveway, I realized this visit had been so much more than just a weekend without our parents. It was the beginning of something deeper, a bond we hadn't just rediscovered, but rebuilt. And even if we never talked about the feelings between us, I knew he felt it too. Some connections don't need names. They just need time and space, and one unforgettable weekend.